Good evening, everybody. What's going on?
What's up, y'all?
What's up, fellas?
It's been a good week so far.
Yes, it's temperature kind of changing. I'm getting back in. I'm a cold guy.
Yeah, I am too.
I like it when it gets cold. I mean, there's only so many clothes you can take off. Right?
That's right.
You can always put more on.
Yeah, I know my wife keeps telling me, put more on.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever makes you disappear.
Cover that thing up.
Yeah,
Dude, I feel like, that's when you can really let your style shine in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I like wearing jeans too. I like wearing pants. I like being able to wear my comfortable clothes. I don't want to have to walk around in my dun-dun-duns just not to die.
I'm a jean guy year round, man. If I wear shorts on the farm, I'm guaranteed a hydraulic hose is going to blow. I'm going to have to work on something. So I just embrace the jeans all the time.
Oh, not me, man. When it's hot, I got to put on my short pants.
Well, we want to formally welcome everybody to another episode of Reverent and Rebellious.
Yep. Now y'all got those fashion tips.
That's right. That's right.
It. So everything's been going okay. Everybody's been doing okay. Okay.
Yep.
We made it through the first weekend in December.
Yeah.
So
First Advent. We did our first Advent reading.
Yes, we did, and we're on the fast track to the big day.
When y'all were kids, did it feel like we had this little calendar at my parents' house, and if I remember right, you would put a little ornament type deal in each day as it got closer. And I remember as a kid, it seemed like it took forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But now that you're an adult, you're on the other side of that.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it was Halloween yesterday. It's Christmas today.
I don't even remember Thanksgiving.
Dude,
yeah.
I mean, it's just like it was.
Look, the NFL season's halfway through, and I'm already looking for the draft. It's
Oh man.
that's where I'm at with my life now.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I'm the baseball nut.
Yeah.
It's the winter meetings are happening in Nashville.
Yep.
And my team. Oh man, they just offloaded just about every good player they had. I am not joking when I say it. If you look up Seattle Mariners Twitter, it is an absolute apocalypse.
I don't even want to talk about my team in football, man. It's just
man.
Yeah.
What is your team?
The Titans.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I could almost hate on all of them.
You probably could.
Yeah.
Because I don't even have a team.
You don't have a team, not even one.
I mean, if I pull for NFL, I'd probably root for the Titans, just for Tennessee. Well, I used to be a Cowboys fan.
Oh, bless you.
I know.
Got saved.
Yes.
What's funny is before Tennessee had a team, I was a big Dan Marino fan. I was a Miami Dolphin fan.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And they're my number 2 AFC team, and they're doing really good now. So I can
You got something to hang your hat on.
Well, see, that was what was funny. So I'm glad to hear you say you liked a particular player, because I liked Tom Brady because he was so good. And I've got a lot of family that was diehard. So I got a lot of family that was diehard Tennessee. Vols.
Yeah.
And I always pulled for the Tigers when I was younger. We used to go to especially in basketball, we'd go to the games and watch the Tigers play. And I loved that. But I always wanted them to clobber Tennessee because it was such a heated rivalry. And so then when I would watch NFL, back when Peyton was playing, I was rooting for Brady because the Peyton people hated Tom Brady.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so we used to argue to the freaking tooth over it. And I'm like, now there's no question, because I'd always be like, Brady's the best. And they'd be like, no, he's not. And I'm like, now there really is no argument. Brady is the best.
Yeah, he just holds up both of them.
Yeah.
I'm the best.
Yep, he says they hate us because they ain't us.
I gotta put you in touch with my buddy that watches the show from California. My buddy Alan Shank.
Yeah,
he's was a diehard Patriots fan and just loved Tom Brady. And funny story about him. Another plug for you. He played baseball with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
before he was really off the deep end.
Yep.
Yeah. Is Aaron still in there? Or he got injured?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be
Fourth
coming back.
play of the season. Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, they said he's coming back.
Isn't he a Wicked now?
I don't know.
Something like that.
He got really, man, he went really nuts.
Yeah. So welcome to Sports Talk.
I was going to say, and that's what Christmas time's all about. People being upset with their NFL teams.
That's it. Dysfunctional families and bad talk about sports and politics.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too deep, you need to hit that like button, hit subscribe,
Smash it.
share with your friends. If you're listening on Spotify, leave us a rating and a review. Check to make sure there might be a question or a poll in there for you.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this or listening on there, let us know what. Today we're on our third pick for the Christmas movie.
Yep.
Top your number 3 favorite. So comment yours below. We want to know what it is.
And on the comments, my buddy Alan, he said that his number 4 was the Santa Claus.
That's solid.
Tim Allen.
That is a solid one. Yeah.
And he also said, Logan, he was with you on the Xmas thing. He didn't know that he could be okay with it.
Yeah. It sounds like we're on, Alan and I are on the same page.
I feel like y'all are very similar.
Yeah.
And then we also had a comment from Brianni Thomas. Most definitely pagan. No birth happened on that day. Then why the lie to say you're celebrating the birth of the Messiah?
It sounds like she didn't really listen to the episode.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that somebody from outside our immediate circle was brave enough to watching and commenting. So keep them coming.
Yeah, we gladly accept your comment, and we appreciate your opinion.
Absolutely. But have you ever celebrated your birthday on a different day?
All the time.
Yeah. So we can celebrate it. And we're gonna see. And this is a little foreshadowing, because week after next, when we wrap this whole series up, we're gonna tell everybody exactly the day that Jesus was born.
The real birth.
Yeah. We don't celebrate it on that day, but there's some really, really compelling and interesting research that we're going to get into.
And Penny, thank you for your comment. Trying to do better. Good, because we expect so much out of you.
We do. We have high expectations.
As Logan said, you're our superhero.
And we trust that your house is fully decorated now, so you have a finger free.
Actually, I think she told me tonight that it may not be fully decorated yet.
Well, just take a break and then just take that finger and
hit the like button.
Hit the like
and
button.
Then conversation coming full circle. Matt Miller busted me out on Facebook. With my third pick, which my third holiday movie is Die Hard.
Die Hard. Now that you just have to stir. This is rebellious all day long.
No, and you know what? Matt had a very good point about this. Thank you for this, Matt. He said if Die Hard is not a Halloween movie, not a Christmas movie, then Home Alone's not.
Well, you know how I feel about Home Alone.
He said, because if you think about it, it's the same thing. He said it's a Christmas time movie. He goes to a Christmas party, and that's where all this is taking place. Same thing with Home Alone. It's not about Santa Claus or all that. It's about thieves breaking into his house.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in the fight, really. Yeah. So I'm going to let you have that. No problem. But, Thank you. But I just know that you stirred up some internet controversy.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll prove you all wrong. It's okay. I've had this debate the last 3 years.
My number 3 is, it's just kind of a softball, but it's Christmas Vacation.
That's great. Yeah, that is a great one.
I just watched a little bit of that today.
When he has I sent you that video when Clark's going off because he didn't get his bonus. I sent it to Peter. I said, that's you when you get fired up preaching.
Yep. He needs a Tylenol.
Yeah. Where's the Tylenol?
Yeah.
Exactly. What's yours?
Mine is Home Alone.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I love Home Alone. I'm gonna watch it every year, and I'm one of them. I can't hardly classify Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
Then how can you classify Home Alone as one?
Because it's more actually geared in Christmas. Home Alone.
Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a machine gun.
That's like the one reference.
No, it's not. He quotes Santa Claus. Macaulay Culkin doesn't do that. He says, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
He even goes and celebrates at the church. Like Macaulay Culkin's going and they're doing the thing at the church.
Christmas service,
he decorates the house.
And his Christmas dinner is mac and cheese.
Does Bruce Willis decorate Nagatami or whatever plaza?
Look, he goes around the whole thing barefoot because he's hanging his stockings.
And he does bleed very much red blood. So.
He does. That is true.
Yep.
I like Die Hard, but I actually I had that argument yesterday or maybe today with a guy that it is not a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
Okay, so here's the next segment. Why can you never tell when a pterodactyl's going to the bathroom?
Why?
because the P is silent.
Okay, I see what you did there.
Yes.
Good job. Good
Somebody
job.
that's not a good speller, there is a
I
P
know.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
That is a weird
Pterodactyl.
word. Pterodactyl.
Yes.
Them dinosaurs.
Yeah,
The P is
dinosaurs.
silent.
That P's got a lot of ambiguity in it.
Yes,
Yep,
it
yep.
does. Okay, so boy, that was a lot of lead in.
That
Yeah.
was.
That was,
We're good and warmed
you're
up
welcome.
now.
Yeah, we got some banter going on here.
Okay, so what is the origin? Hey, if you got kids watching,
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Careful.
be warned.
Not NSFK. Not safe for kids.
Okay. With that being said, 3, 2, 1. All right, they need to be gone.
That's it.
All right.
It's exactly
Yeah.
right.
What is the origin of Santa Claus?
And everything Santa Claus-ish.
Ish.
Elves, North Pole, reindeer.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, yeah. It honestly, we all went down our own personal rabbit trails with this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
But we're just going to start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Start at the very beginning, and everybody kind of knows this. We say, okay, well, Santa Claus was sort of morphed out of a real guy.
Yeah.
An actual bishop, monk type figure. But do you know where this is about Saint Nicholas, right? Saint
Yeah.
Nicholas was a real guy.
Yep.
Okay. Do you know where Saint Nicholas came from?
Turkey.
Yes. Now, I would not have thought that.
Is that so? One of my origins that I kind of go to.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the old claymations? Of,
Yes.
Like Rudolph's and Santa Claus.
Absolutely.
So in the Santa Claus is coming to town, he basically becomes, I think it's the Burgermeister that
Right.
won't let the children have any toys.
That's right.
And he is, if I remember right, my kids just watched it. I should have watched it in preparation. But, he's basically an orphan, and they take him in, and it's the Clauses, I guess, that take him in. Am I right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And then his name is Nick, but he becomes the guy that starts giving all the
Nicky.
kids toys.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Yep.
Nicky.
And the Burgermeister has him arrested.
And where he's from in Turkey, it's Patarna. How do you say it? Patara.
Patara.
And
It's actually, he originally was from the city of Myra.
I kept calling it Pantera.
It's something
Pantera
like
sounds
that.
good.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
But he was the son of wealthy parents.
Who left him a large inheritance, right?
They did, but they had been praying for a child for a long, long, long time, and he comes along, and then they both die of like a plague of some sort.
Dang.
So he's orphaned.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 3rd century, so like everything killed you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a miracle if you stayed alive.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the interesting thing is, okay, so I'm going to tell kind of the legend. Okay, so Saint Nicholas, as he grew up as a young man, became very burdened for the underprivileged, homeless people, things like that. And so he was very generous with his gifts, helping people out. He helped, and then he became a priest, and then he became a bishop. Okay, so he continued his generous ways. Well, the story goes that he was passing by a particular house, and there was a father who had 3 beautiful daughters, and they didn't have enough money for food, and more importantly, he didn't have enough to pay for a dowry for any one of his daughters, so they were destined to not be able to marry.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so he was really on that, kind of on that edge where it's like he may have to sell him into slavery or prostitution.
Yep.
And so St. Nicholas learns of this situation, and he passes by their house late at night. Now, if you want to go by the legend, he threw 3 bags of coins up to the chimney, and they came down in the fireplace. But really, the story is he just threw them in through an open window. And so they got this money, and they were all amazed. And so the father has to he wants to see this guy, eye to eye. So he chases him down. He finds him. He finds out it's Saint Nicholas, and then the stories begin to spread from there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And you know what else is really interesting about St. Nicholas? You know how they say his name in Dutch?
Now,
Sinterklaas.
yes, we're going to get to Sinterklaas. That's going to.
I think that's in our, I was going to say in the
it is.
article I was reading on
Uh-huh.
the History Channel.
But here's the interesting thing, because they're in this isolated place in Turkey somewhere. So you think, well, how in the world could Saint Nicholas go global?
Right.
Yeah.
well, there's a whole lot in between when he was orphaned and when he gave the money to the man with the daughters. What happened was that he became the bishop, and he was holy man and everything else like that, and at the time the area that he was in was a seafaring town.
Yeah, Turkey is still the one of the largest export commerce areas by the sea.
And so what happened was there was this ship, and the storm came up, and the sailors were very frightened and everything. And so they started praying to Saint Nicholas. And as legend would have it, Saint Nicholas appeared to them, surrounded by light. And so he spoke words that calmed the storm, saved the ship. The sailors all made it home safely. So his original saintship, we kind of know him as the patron saint of children, because that's what he became later. But he started out as patron saint of seafaring, as sailors.
Yeah, that pokes a big hole in the naughty or nice, because I've never met a nice sailor.
I know. But
shout out to Navy guys. Sorry.
It also ties it back into paganism.
It actually kind of does.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different ballgame. Let's not go there just yet. We're going to get there. But this is very, very important, because what happens then is the whole seafaring community in that whole region makes Saint Nicholas their patron saint.
Yeah.
And so they have these icons, and they have these pictures, and they have these written prayers that they're saying as they embark on their journeys and everything. So Saint Nicholas is a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, then the global sea trade opens up. So now they're crossing international waters, like going everywhere, and so their stories. They get to these European ports and African ports, and so eventually Saint Nicholas is like known everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is where the whole thing kind of starts, because now we find him in Amsterdam, and this is where the whole Sinterklaas thing starts, because and just giving the thumbnail sketch, what happens in Amsterdam is he becomes a very, very important figure to them, because they're very much seagoing people. Well, then they go to the New World, and they start this place called New Amsterdam. And they take Sinterklaas with them. And now it starts to become all about Christmas time, because in New Amsterdam, life is tough. Times are hard.
Yep.
It was, half of the settlers died.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything to go on. They didn't have any new clothes. They didn't have anything nice. So one time a year, they would just kind of pool all their resources, and they would give their kids whatever they could afford. It might be a piece of fruit. It might be, but and then they always ascribed it to Sinterklaas.
Yeah.
And so that was like the one time a year where they could have anything nice.
Yeah.
And, as, we followed the story along, New Amsterdam then becomes New York City.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the whole thing can escalate from there.
So for the U.S., Santa originated in New York.
Yes,
Huh.
that's exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah. So that kind of gives you, kind of the basics.
What year would that have been?
Well, originally, like 1,600 years ago. How many years ago is that? I mean, what year is that? I mean, it's 1,600 years ago.
So it would probably be about 1,600
probably
years ago.
1,600.
That would be in 423.
Okay. So he was born, we think late third century, right?
Man, that's pretty wild, though, because for it to be in New York, I mean, and that's kind of like it's grown, but it shows like that's still relatively young.
Well, the year that they started New Amsterdam was 1621.
Yeah.
So you got all of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
And slowly making its way.
Yeah, because so that'd been nearly 1,200 years.
Yeah, I believe that they estimated his St. Nicholas's birth at 270, 275, somewhere around there. It was like 275.
Dang, man, Santa's old.
Yeah.
And he's really old.
He's really old. Yeah. So
and I know he died in 360 AD. Like, he had a long life.
He died.
Mm-hmm.
Santa's alive, man. What are you talking about?
yeah. So it was Saint Nicholas, And did you know this? Sometime, oh gosh, when was it? I don't remember the exact year. I don't know the exact year. But at some point, in the area of Myra where he originated from, they had his tomb, and they had all of his artifacts and all of his wealth and riches in a particular place. Well, these Italian marauders found his tomb, and they overtook the people who were guarding it, and they stole all the stuff, including his bones.
Oh, man.
Including his skeleton.
Wow.
How are they going to do Santa like that?
I know. And they took it back to Bari, Italy. And this became like a huge deal. And it's a huge deal today. They tore down they initially had two churches, Church of St. Nicholas.
Right.
They decided two small churches was not good enough. So they tore down the governor's palace and built this white stone Church of St. Nicholas, which is there today.
Wow.
And they built that out of white stone so it could be seen from a long way away. And so inside the Church of St. Nicholas is all the stuff. And apparently his bones are in there too.
Oh, wow.
And it hadn't been too long ago, they actually did all this scientific research on his bones and everything to see if they could verify them. And the only thing they could verify is that the bones definitely belong to someone who lived in the 3rd century. So it's got to be Santa Claus, right?
These people literally stole Christmas.
They did. They stole the whole thing.
That was the origin of the Grinch.
But they have this St. Nicholas festival. It's not at Christmas time. I don't know why, but it's in May.
Well, that can't be right. Who celebrates somebody when it's not the exact time?
Who would do that?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, so you can go to this festival in May in Bari, Italy, and you can worship at the Church of St. Nicholas. I mean, it gets a little bit weird.
So do they worship St. Nicholas?
They actually pray to him.
Gotcha. So they're not Christian.
Well, they're Catholics.
So they're not Christian. No.
Oh gosh!
I mean,
we're going for blood in this one, man.
Yeah. We want to increase the volume of our comments, don't we? Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I don't know if they're Christians or not. I have not met any of these people, so I have no idea.
Did we just redo the poll? No. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's like happening today.
Yeah.
And so St. Nicholas is still,
So do people dress up like Santa and for this?
No, not Santa, but they dress. And here's the interesting thing too, is in their scientific research, they took all of the images, the icons and the paintings of St. Nicholas.
Yeah.
And they did like a composite, and they just like eliminated it, they tried to drill down to as close to what they think he would look like as possible. And it's always...
Don't you tell me that he wasn't a jolly fat man.
I will tell you that for sure he had a high forehead and a white beard.
Okay. All right.
And according to the dress of the time, he would have wore bishop's robes, which were red and white.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
How about that?
But they can't estimate his weight.
Is it bad that I want to go see this?
I honestly,
I want to go check it out.
I'd like to see it.
I feel like there's a lot of travel that our podcast wants to do.
Road
and
trip.
I would say from an expense standpoint, I feel like this one might be the most expensive.
Absolutely.
What was the first one we were going to do?
Adams, Tennessee.
No, there was one before that was expensive too.
We're between in somewhere in the States or Italy.
Oh, we were talking about going to Transylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we
Man,
did.
I don't know. I think I'd rather go to Transylvania.
I don't know.
But,
I mean, they're close.
Okay.
Yeah.
In which place is the food better? Transylvania or Italy?
Oh, well, that's
yeah,
true.
I'm going to Italy.
Yeah,
on
we'll
that
go to
one.
Italy.
My wife's Italian, and
Yeah.
I
There you
eat
go.
well.
Yeah, we'll go to Italy.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. They celebrate it in May. I
know.
wonder if their summer's mild. Like the warm would throw me off.
Well, they say that it still gets cool at night. They had some pictures of the all the carryings on that they.
So do they give gifts? Like is it like a?
Yeah, they do, and it's like a big huge outdoor parade, and I mean, people do dress up and the whole thing. And there's street performers and musicians and everything. It's amazing.
I wonder if it alters their Christmas celebration.
I haven't the slightest idea.
I'm down to go check it out.
Yeah.
We need to go ask them.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get like a Patreon or something.
For our travels. Yes.
Go fund us to give you.
Fund our travel
We'll give
budget.
you a podcast from Italy.
There you go.
Yeah, if you want to hear us in Italy, we'll even give you a shout out.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we will.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll shout really loud from Italy.
Absolutely. In Italian, I'll learn it.
Okay, so then we have to ask the question: how then did we get from Saint Nicholas all the way to jolly old elf?
Well, I'm going to look at this through my just American lens.
Yeah.
So it's in New York City, and all this is kind of coming. I mean, word of mouth is going to alter the thing. I mean, it's just going to alter the tale, and probably what I would imagine is it just kind of gets boiled down. Somebody probably came up with the imaginative idea of this jolly, the jolly happy fat man that gives the candy or gives the toys. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of picturing it being, I guess I'd almost say Hollywoodized to a sense, but just before Hollywood.
And see, I want to figure out at what point did they all morph together?
Yeah.
Because like as I was studying, there was no definitive answer, because you have like Saint Nicholas from Turkey.
Yeah.
Then you have Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
Right.
And and they're totally two different cultures.
Yeah.
And so at what point did we morph all these Father Christmas characters into Santa Claus?
Now, Kris Kringle's the one from the North Pole, right?
Kris Kringle is German.
Okay.
It's from the word Christ Kindle, which means Christ child. And it's usually depicted as a young person. And it's usually, in the plays and stuff, they usually use a girl because they look angelic. So it's a girl playing a guy's role. It was believed that he would deliver presents to well-behaved Swiss and German children, often historically accompanied by St. Nicholas. And in Scandinavia, the Swedish, they had Jutomen. That's what I was telling you about.
Right.
It's an elfish Santa Claus. It's a short, fat, round Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And they believed all these versions were Father Christmas. The English legend says Father Christmas is responsible for filling children's stockings. Then you have Pierre Noël, which is French, filling kids' shoes.
That's right. They set the shoes out.
Yeah. And so
that would explain the Burgermeister.
Yes.
That's a very German name.
Absolutely. And that's the interesting thing too, is because while the whole image of the modern Santa Claus has probably infiltrated most places in the world, especially in Europe, they still hold to their original kind of benevolent character of old. You know, the Sinterklaas and the Kris Kringle and so they haven't like totally bought into the American Santa Claus,
Gotcha.
Which I totally respect.
And you know what else I realized today too is all the old portrayals of Santa, he's smoking a pipe.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
You used to see some pictures even here where it'd be him. He'd have a pipe.
Yep. And here's another thing too. We'll get into this in just a little bit, because we're going to kind of look at the dark side a little bit of the horse.
It wouldn't be rebellious if we didn't.
It really wouldn't.
Yeah.
But so many different cultures use coal. Mm-hmm. The coal for the kids that weren't naughty, and I don't know how that one particular
came to be.
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't jacked it up for us. Now they got chocolate coal put in stocking.
Yeah,
I got coal. Wait, it's candy.
That ain't right.
It's like
so
can't be mean at all.
So we know that if we're gonna kind of drill down on the American Santa Claus for a minute, we know that it was the 1600s, early 1600s. They brought Sinterklaas to New Amsterdam, which then became New York. Okay, so it kind of stays that way until the early 1700s, and actually kind of begins to gain a little bit of steam in the late 1700s. It says in this article that St. Nicholas made his first inroads into American popular culture toward the end of the 18th century. In December of 1773 and again in 1774, a New York newspaper reported that groups of Dutch families had gathered to honor the anniversary of St. Nicholas's death. So they're calling him Santa Claus already. It's kind of, Saint Nicholas. It's kind of, so Santa Claus. And then in 1804, John Pintard, a member of the New York Historical Society, distributed woodcuts of St. Nicholas at the Society's annual meeting. The background of the engraving contains now familiar Santa images, including stockings filled with toys and fruit hung over a fireplace. By the way, the stocking thing happened kind of during St. Nicholas's day, because as the legend grew that he threw the bags of money through the chimney, then people started hanging their socks under
catch it.
Yeah.
Keep it from going in the fire.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But really where it began to take off was Washington Irving. You know Washington Irving? Yeah. He wrote The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good
Absolutely. So he referred to St. Nicholas as the patron saint of New York in his book, The History of New York.
Okay.
Okay. So, as his prominence grew, Santa Claus was described as everything from a rascal with a blue three-cornered hat, red waistcoat, and yellow stockings, to a man wearing a broad-brimmed hat and huge pair of Flemish trunk hose.
So Santa Claus the pirate.
Yeah. So, but Washington Irving did some more writings later on, and really began as it started to catch on. He really began to develop this whole image.
Kind of hone him in.
He was the one who came up with the pipe.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that he would take a break to smoke his pipe full of tobacco.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make him a little more like a man.
Yeah. There you go.
Humanize him some.
But here's the interesting thing. I don't know if it's in this. It's not in this article, but it was in 1864, Civil War. There was an illustrator named Thomas Nast.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. He was commissioned on the Union side to do some sort of, I don't know if it was magazine covers or just, to come. He wanted to, they asked him to come up with some Christmas images that would, kind of inspire a little bit of happiness in dark times.
Yeah.
So he actually was the first one to draw Father Christmas. And it looks really a lot like the Santa Claus we have today.
Right.
Not as
Is
refined.
that the kind of wizardry looking one?
No, it actually is kind of the jolly
Really?
fat man with the beard and the yeah.
Rosy red cheeks.
And he sort of loosely based it on Saint Nicholas. And right around that time as well, and I can't find. Oh yeah, here it is. 1822. It was earlier than that. There was an Episcopal minister named Clement Clark Moore, and he wrote a long Christmas poem for his three daughters. And here's the name of it: An Account of a Visit from Saint Nicholas. That's a really boring title.
It is.
So they changed the title to "'Twas the Night Before Christmas."
Classic, man.
yeah, trying to get his kids to go to
Man,
bed.
I am glad that they changed the name.
Man, me too. That's the first line, obviously, of the poem. But an account of a visit from Saint Nicholas. Daddy, will you please read us that poem called, what was that, an accounting guy? Yeah. There's a guy in accounting.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. Some marketer really helped that guy out.
So his images, word pictures, actually then
Influenced
heavily.
Yep.
Yeah.
It influenced the drawing of Father Christmas even, because he's a right jolly old elf with a portly figure and the supernatural ability to ascend a chimney with a mere nod of his head. Although some of Moore's imagery was probably borrowed from other sources, his poem helped popularize the now familiar image of a Santa Claus who flew from house to house on Christmas Eve in a miniature sleigh. Led by 8 flying reindeer to leave presents for deserving children. And there you go. Thomas Nast's image appeared in Harper's Weekly and depicted Santa as a rotund, cheerful man with a full white beard holding a sack laden with toys for lucky children. Nast was the one who gave Santa his bright red suit trimmed with white fur, North Pole Workshop elves, and his wife, Mrs. Claus.
Also, he pretty much did it all.
Yeah.
Rotund. Good word.
Rotund.
We need to bring that back.
Yeah.
Rotund.
Yeah, that and then it's like when you're hanging out in the courtyard, that's the rotunda.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So then that's like the 1800s. Then it started to become commercialized.
Coca-Cola.
Well, honestly, Coca-Cola was the one that blew it up.
Yeah.
You know, with him having a pipe, you feel like Marlboro would have jumped on that.
Yeah, I know they should have, or whoever. Yeah, they should have changed it to a cigarette. Santa should have
Santa Claus.
smoking a cigarette.
I'll bet you could find some pictures
I
of
bet you there are.
Yeah. So in the mid 1800s, thousands of children visited a Philadelphia shop to see a life-size Santa Claus model. And so it was only a matter of time before the stores started to attract children. Obviously, it's starting to click.
Yep.
If you can get the kids in the store, then you can get the parents in the store.
That's it.
All that
Put the
stuff.
toys on sale.
Yeah.
Yep. So then in the early 1890s, the Salvation Army needed money to pay for the free Christmas meals they provided to needy families. So they began dressing up unemployed men in Santa Claus suits and sending them into the streets of New York to solicit donations. Those familiar Salvation Army Santas have been ringing bells on street corners of American cities ever since. You found it.
Santa Claus smoking a cigarette. All right.
It said, when I asked the grown-ups to judge for themselves what Xmas present they wanted, they all chose
Murad cigarettes.
the Turkish cigarette. And there it is. Santa is smoking a cigarette.
Well, St. Nicholas is from Turkey, so it makes sense.
I know,
It's
like
his
that-
brand. All right.
It all works together.
Yeah. I mean, they got one where he's just got straight up, got the cigarette right there,
yeah.
man. Look how happy
yeah.
he looks.
Yeah. Well, at the time they were considered healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That is true.
Smoking
Yeah.
was also a sign of class.
This says
Absolutely.
1915B. So that almost makes me wonder if that was, it doesn't give me the date, but it almost makes me wonder if that's not in 1915.
It could be.
That'd be probably about that time
Yeah.
frame, wouldn't it?
really could be.
That is
honestly.
crazy.
So, then the Macy's parade. That was another big one. Santa showed up in 1924,
Okay.
and
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy.
I know. And I actually saw
100-year mark this year.
exactly.
Dang, yeah, that is.
And I actually saw a picture of the float that he was riding on. It was a great big huge giant sleigh, and he was sitting way, way, way up top.
The original one, like
Yeah.
back then? Did he, and he looked like what we're imagining?
Yeah, absolutely. He was Father Christmas. Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
can you imagine? That would have been how exciting that have been back then to actually for especially the kids,
Oh.
they're getting to see him for really the first time.
I mean, they don't have. I mean, they barely have moving pictures.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of them would listen to the radio.
Yes,
Wait, my
for
math's
sure.
off. This is 99 year.
Yeah, I mean, I was giving you the benefit.
Yeah.
Next year will be the 100th,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Public education.
We'll forget.
We can celebrate it not on the real day.
Oh man, yeah,
That's not going anywhere
we're
for a
gonna have
while.
some fun with that one. Yeah,
The P is silent.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I'm just imagining the excitement of that.
Could you imagine how brave that guy was? It's like, hey, we're going to hoist you up in the air. You're going to be way up
know.
there. This is before the seat belt,
I know.
so good luck.
Well, and that's in 1924. I'm trying to think, what year was the Depression? When did that start?
That was in the 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
this was in the Roaring 20s.
Gotcha.
Everybody
Gotcha.
was rich.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's out there in their zoot suits. It's just,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what year do you think the song "Santa Claus is Coming to Town" was written?
Oh man.
1941.
Not bad. Not bad.
I'd say I'm just gonna say for World War II, 1945.
You're close, but you overshot it. 1934.
Oh man.
34. Because you have to think too. A lot of these images of happiness and all this. This is a dark time.
Yeah.
To bring morale.
Yeah,
Well, and that's
yeah.
kind of why I was asking on the Great Depression.
I love the
Right.
fact that we just jumped in with a shot in the dark. It was a rhetorical question. We're just like 1940.
Yeah.
That's
well,
pretty good.
Well, I mean, and that's what I was thinking. This has got to be some sort of morale booster.
Yeah, for sure. This is coming to the end of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a crazy time. Like I had just recently listened to a podcast on prohibition, and it was right in the time frame, and it was
For sure.
wild.
Oh.
Dust Bowl,
yeah.
all that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
hard times.
See,
So-
that's the thing. They outlaw beer, and the whole country goes down the
it
toilet.
did. It
That's
did. Yeah.
You don't let people drink, they will riot.
Yes.
So, okay, now this is when
Who
we.
wrote it?
who wrote let's see.
Jeffrey?
Well, you know,
We need to give them a shout out.
I
They
have
might
no
listen
idea.
to the show.
It
They might be 145
Yeah,
years old.
they're
to
listening with Michael Heiser.
this. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so we got I don't know the year, but Coca-Cola jumped on the bandwagon and they shot it to the moon. This feels like it was in like the 50s.
I was going to say,
like that.
I got to try to look this up.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Dude, look that up for us. But so now by this time we have the Jolly Old Elf, we got Mrs. Claus, we got the North Pole, we got the elves and the toy factory, we got the sleigh and the reindeer and the chimney and the sack full of toys,
Stockings.
yeah, and there's only one thing we're missing.
What's that?
Rudolph.
Oh yeah, the extra reindeer.
Do you know when that happened?
Hold on.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
first, what year or when do y'all think? I'll even give you the era. What
Okay.
era do you think Coca-Cola began to include Santa Claus in its ads?
40s.
I'm gonna say the 50s.
The 20s.
No way.
It says in the 1920s,
1920s.
Coca-Cola began to include Santa Claus in its Christmas
man.
ads.
They saw him in the Macy's parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh,
That is
man.
crazy in the 20s.
And by the way, there was also
And that's just such an iconic look.
there's a big conspiracy that they made Santa Claus red and white to match Coca-Cola, but that wasn't the case. Because I was reading this earlier, Coca-Cola was like, "Hey, this is popular character, matches our product, jump on it."
See,
Yeah.
there you go.
See, Marlboro Ridge,
And
messed
this is still when Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. Yeah,
Yes.
Parents were getting that list checked fast.
exactly right.
Well, see, the iconic one, like this famous picture here, was in 1931.
Okay,
But Santa had been featured in Coke ads since the 20s.
since the
No.
20s.
That is just crazy.
I know Robert Frost used Santa imagery a lot.
Yeah, I like some Frost, man. He's good.
Like he was like the quintessential
Okay.
draw Santa Claus guy.
Okay, so when did Rudolph come along?
Oh man.
This was 1939.
All right, I was gonna say I felt like it'd have to be relatively close
Yeah.
to Santa in there, but
Yeah, and it's interesting because now you want to talk about Christmas getting commercial.
Yeah.
Every development of Santa was for money.
I mean, Rudolph's existence is so that he can deliver the toys.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He was basically the postal service reindeer.
He was, yes.
Okay, so this guy named Robert L. May was a copywriter at the Montgomery Ward department store. So they're like, hey, this Christmas thing's getting stale. Anybody got any ideas how we can spice this thing up a little bit?
Put a light bulb on one of them.
Yeah.
Give the deer a headlight.
1939, he wrote a Christmas-themed story poem to help bring holiday traffic into his store. We got something nobody else has.
Yeah.
So anyway, he used a similar rhyme pattern to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And he told the story of Rudolph, a young reindeer who was teased by the other deer because of his large, glowing red nose. But when Christmas Eve turned foggy and Santa worried that he wouldn't be able to deliver gifts that night, the former outcast saves Christmas by leading the sleigh by the light of his red nose. So Rudolph's message, that given the opportunity, a liability can be turned into an asset, proves popular.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is
What?
like way ago it was oral tradition, and we're at this time period now where like poetry and literary works is what's the dominant media of this time.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
You know, that's even more than music, because music in the 20s was just like instrumental. It was jazz, you know?
Yeah.
So where do you think we're at today? What do you think would be most influential media for people today? And it's easy to say digital media. I got it, but what form? Like video, audio? What do you think?
I mean, I would, and I mean, I realize we're sitting here on a podcast,
Video and audio.
but I would say both. People want to actually watch. People want to watch a person talk.
true.
I mean, in podcasts, that's when I feel like they have really shook the game up because, before the only people that had a platform. They were on
right.
the
So
news or something.
The flip side of that, do you think poetry and music and literature, things like that, are going to go by way of the dinosaur?
I feel like they have almost fallen under this
Oh,
form.
man. AI is going to keep them all alive.
Yeah.
I think they'll keep going, but I almost feel like the impact that music, and I'm not to say that music doesn't still have an impact, but I would almost venture to say that like this form of media has almost overstep. Well, you know the old thing, video killed the radio.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like that's kind of the route this is going. I'm
might
sitting
be.
here with two musicians, man.
But yet people are still writing books by the boatload.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I still love a
no one-
physical copy of
I
a
do
I
book.
was
too.
gonna say
Yeah.
no one really reads them. Everyone listens to them. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
I can't listen to them hardly either.
I have to read them.
I listen to a lot.
I wish I could. I tend to, like when I lose my place in a book, I just kind of flip
Fold it.
back again.
Yeah.
When I listen to an audio book and I lose my place, it's like,
Oh, you'd be in
Rewind
trouble
10
there.
seconds,
Yeah.
10 seconds.
what
Where's
did
that?
what did
Yeah.
I miss?
Yeah.
I have that problem. But anyway, Montgomery Ward sold almost 2.5 million copies of this story in
Jeez.
1939 alone.
Dang, he made that. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, he's like triple platinum.
It
Yeah.
was reissued in 1946 and sold over 3.5 million.
Dang, he made
copies.
like $7 back then.
I know.
Hey, I tell you what though, I did see on the news today the lady who wrote and sang "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree" for the first
Brenda
time.
Lee.
Yeah, for the first time ever. I think it's been 60 years. For the first time, they're number one on the chart right now.
For the first time?
For the first time.
Wow.
My buddy from Nashville lived right next door to Brenda Lee.
Really?
Yeah.
Was she awesome?
She actually was awesome.
Yeah.
She'd be like taking her trash out and I mean, it's like she was a normal person.
Yeah.
So how about that? Maybe Christmas is going to bring music back.
Maybe.
Maybe so.
But here's the cool thing is a few years later, one of May's friends, Johnny Marks, wrote the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
The Bird Ives one?
1949. It was
How many years later?
3 years.
3 years later.
Yeah. Well, actually 3 years after the second issue.
Gotcha.
So he wrote in 39. This was written in 49, so 10 years apart. But it was originally recorded by Gene Autry
Yeah.
Okay.
and sold over 2 million copies
In what year?
in 1949.
Dang.
I wonder what kind of copies was that back then?
Vinyl.
Yeah, there
Would
was
that have
all
been vinyl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
vinyl.
Yeah,
I was wondering if they even had vinyl.
they did.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd graduated beyond wax by that time. Yeah. Since then, the story has been translated into 25 languages and been made into a television movie narrated by Burl Ives in 1964. So,
That's the claymation.
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
You know, there's something like to me, man, I kind of romanticize like the old image of like you got the fireplace, you got the big old wooden radio, and everybody just gathered around. You know, Dad would crank up the radio, and then
Yeah.
it'd be Rudolph or something come on, and then you'd have the guy come on, and he'd probably do the story. 'Twas the night before Christmas.
Sure.
Like that is just such a cool thing to me.
You know, my dad, when I was growing up, we had the state of the art radio, right? It had the vinyl player on top, the 8-track, and the cassette tape on the side.
Oh, you
And-
were high cotton, man.
Well, that's what we used like every day, you know. But Christmas time, my dad had this old telephone table with an old 2-dial wooden
Yep.
radio,
Yep.
and that's what we used at Christmas time, just because
Wow.
it looked.
Did it have kind of that cracky
Yeah,
sound?
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. The interesting thing too is, and this is we're gonna dig into this in just a second, but you know, pop culture and religion / faith, they were all kind of mushed together a little
Yeah.
bit, a
Yeah.
lot more than what you see now.
Yeah.
And so you would, I remember one of the lines in Here Comes Santa Claus. Let's give thanks to the Lord above, for Santa Claus comes tonight.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
Yeah.
Which is it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
That line always confused, but
That's true.
It wouldn't have been at all unusual, like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something like that, to hear, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then to hear 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, to hear somebody read, you know, Luke chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it maybe tell an uplifting, you know, sort of tearjerker story.
That
all that
separation wasn't there.
it not nearly as much.
Yeah.
There's always been some kind of, but it was more acceptable to kind of mix and mingle. You could have your Santa Claus and you could celebrate the birth of Jesus all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
So before we go to the dark side of Christmas,
Yeah.
to people watching the show, believers out there, yay or nay Santa Claus? Is it okay to have
Oh,
Santa
man.
Claus in your home? Is
That's
it okay
the poll we need to have.
Is it okay for
Yes.
you to let your
Yes.
kids believe in Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might not want to after we get the next part.
I will tell you now. I've encountered so many parents that say, "No, we don't do that." Blah blah. And hey, to each your own. But I remember what it was like for me as a kid to think Santa Claus is coming, and I'm not taking that from my kid. You know, I'm gonna let the kids at public school ruin that for her eventually.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not gonna be the guy that does it.
No, we're the same. Yeah. I was going to ask both of y'all have traveled a lot in your life, and I've traveled a little. Try not to very much, but it's kind of funny. And I've told Marcy this several times. One of the furthest away from home that I ever felt was when I was in Vegas, and it was like December 12th or 14th or something. And I'll never forget, I was in the airport going to my whatever zone or whatever, and it was like 3 a.m. because I had booked some super early flight home. I just wanted to come home. And man, I'll never forget, I was so depressed. I was going through the airport. It was a ghost town, the Vegas airport. Which again, it was 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And that song, "I'll Be Home for Christmas,"
was it Elvis's version?
No, it was who is that? Not Dean Martin.
It wasn't Johnny Mathis.
It may have been. It was that. It's the famous one. But I'm like, this is the most depressing thing. Like I'm like sick. I'm 1,000 miles from home, and all I'm hearing is this. And it's like I've got 10 days to make it home, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm never gonna make it home.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm sure y'all have similar experiences.
I've spent Christmas in Germany, in Afghanistan, and I tell you what, another shout out to my Army buddies. When you got people that's around you that's like family, it's a lot more bearable than doing it on your own. Our Christmas in Afghanistan was nuts. John, if you're watching, thank you.
Man, they don't even have Santa Claus in Afghanistan, do they?
No.
Yeah. They got some guy in a red turban who's
I don't know,
smoking bear butts or something.
Yeah. But it was crazy though. But I will say this for my unit that was there, everyone embodied the Christmas spirit. Everyone was happy, jolly. There wasn't none of that. Well, that's pagan. There was none of that.
Yeah.
It was like we're here together. Let's do this.
Yeah.
It was a really good time.
Nobody gets gifts in Afghanistan.
Well, like I said, I cannot talk about this on air, but the gifts that were given to each other were hilarious.
I'll bet they were too. Yeah. I've spent Christmas in a lot of different places. I think a couple of times in Canada, maybe.
Did you say you were in Japan for one?
Not for Christmas. We made it home in time for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. And one time in Switzerland was right around Christmas, but we didn't. We made it home for Christmas. But one of the coolest. I don't think it was on Christmas Day, but it was right close to Christmas. I did a show in San Antonio, Texas, which is one of my favorite towns in the U.S. because of the Riverwalk. And I did not know that they did this, but apparently they deck the Riverwalk out with lights and everything.
So they deck the halls.
They do. But the cool thing about the Riverwalk is you don't see it from street level. You go down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the river winds all the way through the city. So I didn't even, I was like, I'm going down to the Riverwalk. I want some Mexican food, And it's just like it opened up.
That's
it was
awesome.
Like I'm in a winter wonderland.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That sounds awesome.
So anytime y'all want to
San Antonio.
Go over there during Christmas.
Oh, it's amazing.
That's our 80th road trip.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we need to do.
Just add it on there.
Yeah.
Y'all get us a Patreon set up. We gotta go.
But so where were we?
Dark side.
We're
going into the dark side.
It was just the songs made me think of that depressing moment in my life, so I just wanted to share it.
Yeah, and moment of silence for everybody who's ever had a really depressing Christmas. I have had a number.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, we were specifically told at a very early age there is no Santa Claus. We will not be, putting out milk and cookies.
That was a fun first Christmas then.
It's what the world does. We celebrate Jesus. And so
what about
shout out to mom and dad, that's good on you. I didn't need Santa Claus.
Yeah, you turned out all right.
I mean
So what about Kaylee and Kristen.
No, we
Do they know?
Yeah, maybe
they know?
Maybe they know.
Did you just reveal?
No, here's the funny thing about Santa Claus. I was totally cool with them believing in Santa Claus. You know, we just kind of kept it, because Karen's side of the family, everything, it was already deeply ingrained. So I was like, I ain't bucking
roll
that.
with it. Roll with it.
Yeah.
And but I did draw the line one year because we didn't have very much money when we first got married, so it was very, very up and down. And so we scraped and we scratched and we got, as many nice things for the kids as we possibly could.
I know where you're going with
Yeah.
this.
And so the idea was, we opened gifts as a family on Christmas Eve, which in our house was absolutely sacrilegious. Nobody, those pagans across town, they're the ones that open gifts on Christmas.
They
Eve.
open it on Saturnalia.
Yeah.
We wait for
That's
Christmas.
exactly right. Yeah. Soul Invictus people. Yeah. But anyway, so we would open gifts as a family on Christmas Eve, and then Santa would come on Christmas morning. And so Karen's going, okay, so this is going to be from Santa, and this is going to be from us. And it's like,
This is all for
The
me.
good gifts come from
gifts
us.
Exactly. We'll put the coloring books. From Santa.
Santa gets the crummy stuff.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting poll. How many of y'all out there
We got a lot for them on this one.
Well, how many? Think about it, because I've seen a lot of different ones. Some people open one present on Christmas Eve and then the rest Christmas Day, and so forth and so forth. So I'm interested in the comments. Let us know how y'all do gifts.
I used to bargain for like one gift at Christmas Eve, which I know Pat's like, look, y'all got to wait for me to throw the Christmas tree out before we can open gifts.
That's right.
No, but I figured out why we could not open them on Christmas Eve, because my dad was still putting them together.
Okay.
All night long. I don't think
makes
my
sense.
dad ever slept on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
He was putting something together.
Yes.
So anyway, we talked about the mixing and mingling of the secular and the sacred and all those different kinds of things. I was actually very, very surprised to go down this little track here, because
It takes a very dark turn.
side.
well, I did not know this, but there is a whole horror movie kind of, like a lot of horror movies are made around Christmas time, shown around Christmas time.
I'm kind of surprised you did not know that.
I did
about
not know
films.
that. No. Have you ever seen the movie Black Christmas?
Yes,
I have not.
I've seen the old one and the remake.
Lord.
I knew Pat would.
I'm afraid for you.
I'm a horror movie buff. That's my thing,
Okay,
man.
but you've seen Gremlins though, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was yeah.
Yeah.
What about Deep Red?
No.
No.
Oh, you even stumped Pat.
Yeah.
What is this deep red you speak of?
Well, the research I was doing, the young woman who was kind of making the case for this whole horror movie thing, that's her favorite Christmas horror movie.
Deep Red.
Okay, it's
Deep
a
Red.
1975 film.
Yeah.
Is that Kathy Bates?
I don't know.
What's the premise? Santa a killer?
I have no idea.
A psychic medium is brutally murdered, and musician Marcus Daly feels the need to solve the case since he was the one who discovered the body. This can't be it.
I don't know.
This can't be it.
Deep Red. It's got a Christmassy sound to it.
It really does.
Did y'all watch Violent Was the Night? Isn't that the new one? Violent. It's become an action genre.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah.
There's because they had one come out like last year or the night before.
Yeah, with
Dave
Harbor.
Yes, he
Okay.
and he's like a bad to the bone, beat you up kind of Santa Claus, and then Mel Gibson I think even played. Didn't he play Santa? Like and he's like a killer Santa.
Yeah.
Oh, did you watch Daddy's Home? Daddy's Home 2? Yeah, that's a Christmas movie.
Is that Daddy's Home Alone too?
No, it's it's Mel Gibson and John Lithgow play Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg's fathers, and they're doing a Christmas together. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Well,
pretty-
there's quite a bunch of those, but you got to
Apparently.
mention
What?
the big famous one though that I know we're leading to.
Yeah. Well, I was a Christmas Carol.
Well, that one definitely, but that's not the one I was.
I know, but
you'll be
but,
visited by 3 ghosts.
But what? Yeah. Think about that.
That is a creepy movie.
I know, and we just think about it. Oh yeah, it's all Christmassy and everything.
All right, this makes a lot of sense to
I
me
might have to look this
because
up.
the song, one of the famous Christmas songs says, we'll gather, and tell ghost stories. And I've always told Marcy, I'm like, I have never told a ghost story on Christmas.
No, but it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah.
There'll be something and scary ghost stories.
And scary ghost. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you consider the story of well, that'd be his resurrection. So that's not even a ghost story.
Tell stories about the Holy Ghost.
Conversation coming full circle. That song's forever ruined for me. The NFL put out this thing several years ago where it's the most wonderful time. It's like our faces are painted all season. We've waited. The playoffs are here. Yeah, that was.
I hate it already.
Yeah, that was stuck in my head.
Yeah.
There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts all a-glowing.
Something like that.
Yeah.
When loved ones are near.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So there'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and Christmas is out in the snow. There'll be warm, happy feelings. Oh,
I know.
I lost it.
I know.
I lost it. There's scary ghost stories in there somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that they gather around, tell the scary ghost stories. So are they alluding to the Christmas Carol, or are they alluding to the Krampus?
I think they're making sort of a side reference to this whole sort of dark, sort of fear-based side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to reinforce the naughty side.
Well, and here's the deal too. In London, one of their
of course.
Yeah, they have this this sort of theme park kind of thing, and the haunted house there does a Christmas haunted house.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, I want to go.
Be cool.
Yeah. It's like a big attraction. Thousands of people go.
I can see
Yeah,
why.
I'd go.
to the
I
Christmas
would
haunted
too.
house. Yeah, but it really kind of comes out of what we talked about last week, which was these pagan festivals.
Yeah.
Now, just to be clear, the reason that we can say that Christmas is not a pagan-based holiday is not because pagan festivals were not happening
Yeah.
around that time. It's just that the Christians made up their minds that they were going to celebrate Jesus' birth on December 25th, well before the most popular pagan festivals were
Yes.
happening on December 25th.
And for the viewers too, we're taking a crowbar separation. Jesus is on this side of Christmas, and Santa Claus and the elves and all that's over here.
Yeah.
It's in fiction
Absolutely.
land. Okay.
Yes.
That's exactly
it's
right.
just to play the fun parts there.
But this is just to show you, when we did our whole spiritual warfare series and we did our whole, Halloween series and all these kinds of things. Well, Christmas is in winter solstice and, this whole time of the year is
dark,
not exempt from all of the gnomes and fairies and, zombies and all the different kinds of things. Yeah. And the most popular being
Krampus. Yeah. Good movie.
Yeah.
Man, a terrifying looking image if you look it up.
Yeah.
What do you know about Krampus?
I know that he is the yang to he's the yang to the yin of Santa Claus.
That's it.
If you're bad and have no Christmas spirit, Krampus will come and he'll murder you.
He was often seen to have been accompanying Santa Claus.
Yep.
And so he would deal out. He had a switch made with birch straws.
Yep.
Yep.
And you would get
Lashings.
yeah,
And his tongue was like 8 foot long.
Yeah, and it was forked.
ridiculous.
And he's super dark. Like he looks burnt in the pictures.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And it's crazy that he always came with Santa Claus too, because going back to that naughty or nice list, it's kind of like tag team. It's like, this is a good house. All right, tag me in.
Yeah.
I'm going in. All right, this is a bad house. All right, Krampus, you're up.
And it's weird to think about that because it's like, so are they buddies? They like riding around. He's like, you got Santa Claus, and then he's got like this burnt demonic creature next to him.
I'd like to think Krampus stalks Santa
he does.
Claus.
He attaches
okay.
himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I
Gotcha.
don't think Santa Claus really wants him around.
Where was he in like the Santa Claus movies?
That's what I want to know.
You didn't
Yeah.
see him because he was doing his job.
But see, here's the interesting thing is Krampus has experienced a resurgence
He has.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
for like the third time.
yeah,
In many of the European countries, they have what they call Krampus runs.
I saw that.
Yeah, and they have these very elaborate costumes, and they are terrifying.
They are.
If you get cramps when you run, man, just get some Gatorade.
That's exactly right.
You know?
Just lay down, man.
That's
lay
it.
down.
Yeah, stretch
They'll
it
have
out.
like
Yeah.
fur outfits, and the masks are terrifying
Yeah.
with big horns
Teeth and
yeah.
and they run after the kids. They
I
really
want that
do.
job.
Yeah, I know.
Boy, my kids would run like a wildfire.
Oh my gosh.
See, I've done ruined my kid. My kid's already asking me to teach her how to shoot. My kid's going to end up bucking off rounds at somebody.
That's good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
7 years old. Dad, teach me to shoot.
Except for at a Krampus run, you don't want to be.
That's
you know,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the initial version of Krampus, it was lethal. I mean, we'd eat the children.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Like
so,
savagely.
yeah, Santa carried a bag full of goodies. Krampus carried a basket to throw the nasty children in, so he could take them to hell.
That's what I was going to say. The one of the things I said he took them to hell.
Yeah, he accompanied them
He
to
had
hell.
one of the images actually. He had like a rope, and it was a whole trail of kids behind him.
Oh, I know. That
and
was
he's just
Like
guiding
a
them.
chain gang?
Yes.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's
he was-
leading them to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's just crazy.
La 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 la.
Okay, so here I'm just going to go through kind of a little overview of some of the more popular Christmas figures that are not Santa Claus.
Okay.
Okay, so and I don't know where all of these are from. I couldn't write fast enough to get all the countries down, but there's one called Belsnickel, and
Good name.
basically gives good gifts to the good children and tortures the bad children. Yeah.
Old Belsnickel.
Tortures them. Yeah. This was one of my favorites, though. This is Père Fouettard. Fouettard.
Sounds French.
Père, it is. It
I was
is.
going to
Yeah.
say definitely
It translated Father Whipper.
Father Ripper.
Father Whipper. And he was known to drug bad children and slit their throats and stew them in a barrel so he could eat them.
I know his name actually sounds much less menacing
I know.
than what he
Father
actually
Whipper. Nice.
does.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
like, oh, he'll show up and whip you, and it's like, no, he's going to slit your throat.
And throw you in a stew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
He didn't
Yeah.
give you coal. He gave you a beating.
Yes.
He gave you death.
He bled you
Exactly.
dry.
And this Père Fouettard had a resurgence in the 1930s in America, of all places.
Wow.
Great Depression.
He was named Father Flog
Father
Father
Flog.
Flog.
or Spanky.
Spanky.
Hey, when did the Little Rascals
That's,
come out?
That's
that's
what I don't know.
exactly where my mind went.
That's
Is
got
that
to
right
be.
around there?
Yeah, it
I was
has
going
to
to say
been
it
around.
has to be.
Yeah, you'd think.
Spanky's based off of a throat-slitting monster.
So then this was in another one of those German, Austrian, Bavarian countries. Frau Perkta.
Frau.
Perkta is actually their word for Bertha. So there you go.
Old Bertha.
Yeah,
Miss
old Bertha.
Bertha.
Also known as belly slitter. She just looked like an old woman. She had an iron nose.
An iron nose.
An iron nose, a long iron nose. But she had a long knife hidden in her skirt. Now get this. She would come in the middle of the night and inspect your home to see if it was neat and tidy and to see if your spinning loom was in good working order.
Mine's in bad shape.
I know.
I thought that was going a totally different way.
It could have. If your spinning loom was not in working order and if your house was a mess, she would set fire to your spinning loom. And then
Wheel of Fire.
she would disembowel you and replace your guts with rocks and straw.
Also, she would take them out and put stuff in there.
She'd stuff you.
Man, dang. Now, what's the
On
name?
Christmas.
What is the name?
Frau Perkta.
All right.
Frau Preta.
Now, this is an older film. Now, it's not Christmas, but this is the name I think of. Have you seen Young Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen
So,
that.
do you remember Frau Bluka?
Yes, I
And
do.
every time they say it, the horses
Yes.
like freak out.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that with this, like when they just say
Well,
her name.
But here's the interesting thing. They actually went into a little backstory on Frau Perkta, and there's a couple of others. I'm not getting all of them because there's some of them are kind of similar. But this was particularly prevalent in the northern European countries where wool production was really important. Also, keeping neat and tidy so your candles didn't burn your house down.
Yeah.
All these different kinds of things, and being industrious. And these were all things that were meant to help keep you through the winter.
Gotcha.
You had to stay busy. You couldn't lay down on the job. You had to keep your wool production going and everything. And so they just invent these characters right around Christmas time that would inspire you or maybe
Terrify
scare you.
you.
Yeah. And so the little kids, they're like, You better be good. You better keep your room clean, or Frau Perkta's going to come. And you know what happens when she comes? She finds that it's
She's going to rip your guts out and shove rocks in your stomach.
Could you imagine that? Eins Wein das.
Yeah.
Kids are freaking out.
Okay,
Golly.
but here's this one actually was in pretty vivid detail. Now we're getting into some of the like Sweden, Norway, those kinds of Scandinavian countries. There was a character named Hans Trapp. Now that sounds very innocuous, no big deal.
Who would be scared of a Hans?
Exactly, but he's also known as the dreaded Christmas scarecrow.
That'll do it.
The dreaded Christmas scarecrow.
It was said that he was a displaced knight. He was kicked out of his own army. And he was very upset about this, and he was banished to Bavaria.
Wonder what he did.
Yeah, no one wants to go to Bavaria.
What happens in Bavaria stays in Bavaria.
That's it. Yeah.
Where he promptly developed a taste for human flesh. That's what I do when I go to Bavaria.
That's common. Go to a new place, start
I
eating
feel like
people.
that's probably normal.
So he would dress himself up like a scarecrow, stand out in the field, and try to catch unaware kids that would go marching through the field.
Oh, so it was camouflage.
Yes, it was. That's exactly what it was. And apparently he caught one time. It was a shepherd's son, and he consumed the child and was struck dead by a divine bolt of lightning. Divine bolt of lightning. That's what it said. But here's the interesting thing. He also has a companion. And this companion is a woman. And her name is Christkindl. Kris Kringle.
Sounds mysteriously similar to another
Exactly.
name.
Christkindl. She is a beautiful young woman. And she goes along behind the Christmas scarecrow and soothes the terrified children.
The ones he didn't eat.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that were close calls.
Yeah.
And she wears a long white dress, crowned with 4 candles. She distributes spice bread and sweets to the kids. And she is accompanied by a donkey, a friendly donkey. Guess what the donkey's name is?
What?
Peckeressel.
Okay, I got to meet these folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peckeressel the donkey.
Give me some candy and bring Peckeressel. Yeah.
And the donkey is so beloved by the children that they leave hay out on the front porch for the donkey when it comes by.
I feel like this Christmas I might have to leave a little hay out for old Peckeressel.
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of leaving reindeer food out?
I think it probably is. Yeah.
That could
I can
be.
see it.
I'm imagining the donkey from Shrek.
Yeah, me too.
That's exactly what I'm
That's
thinking.
exactly the picture I had in my head.
So no matter what, Peckeressel sounds like Eddie Murphy.
Yes,
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. So we've got Father Whipper. We've got Krampus, of course. But then we also have this character in Norse Christmas tradition, and her name is Grilla, Gryla. Grilla lives in an ice cave, and she boils naughty children alive and eats them.
They all eat the kids.
I guess that
They must be really tender.
Yeah.
well,
It's like veal.
I feel like these Northern European countries have this big problem with negative motivation.
Yeah.
It's like you better shape up, or Grilla's going to come and boil you alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
these poor kids.
No positive reinforcement
There is not.
whatsoever. It's
No wonder
negative
they're
reinforcement.
quiet and polite.
Yeah.
It's
Their
great.
workers don't get Christmas bonuses.
That's exactly
They just
right.
keep their intestines.
That's it. So Grilla has a husband. Actually, it's her second husband because she ate her first husband.
Oh, it's like a praying mantis.
Yeah. Lupa Lure. And together they had 20 children. And these 20 children are like dwarfs, elves. And they're known as the Icelandic Yule lads.
Yule
And
lads.
they sort of spread out and during the whole Yule season and cause mischief.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is, it made me think of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Because you got Happy and Sneezy and can you name them all?
No, I can't.
Let's see. Happy,
Grumpy?
Sneezy, Grumpy.
Dopey.
Dopey for sure. Doc. That's the one I always miss.
Doc.
Happy.
Shoot, I don't
Isn't
know.
there a sleazy? No, they wouldn't do this,
Sleazy?
yeah.
Yes.
Sneezy, ain't it? Ain't there sneezy?
Sneezy. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Sleazy sounds good.
But anyway, if you look up the Icelandic Yule lads, you'll find that each one of them has a distinct name and a distinct personality and a distinct mischievous function. You know,
Okay.
one of them is going to steal your leg of lamb, and the other's going to knock over your candles. You know, they each have kind of a different personality.
Very
Gotcha.
annoying.
And so I wonder if old Walt Disney kind of, co-opted that, or whoever wrote the original fairy tale that
Yeah.
Walt Disney, I don't know. Anyway, that's sort of, but they like to torment children by doing mischievous things, and they have a giant cat that eats any humans that don't have new clothes.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I only mentioned that to say that to this day they have in Iceland. They have a tradition of wearing new socks on Christmas Day.
So do you think they get to open a present on Christmas Eve and it's socks?
I'll bet they do too. Yeah,
I bet they do.
I'll bet they
Yeah.
do. Good
Socks
old
would be
Grilla.
like a good gift there.
Yeah.
Nobody here just particularly wants socks.
You know, as I
underwear.
get older, I appreciate socks. We had this conversation with my buddies in the Army. We were like, dude, I got gold toes this year. We would get excited about good
Yeah.
socks.
Oh, I mean, it's something you got to wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to go with that one. I'm not going to go with that one. That one's it's going to take too long. But anyway, the final little tidbit that I got was that I watched this bizarre video. I watched it a couple of weeks
On
ago
YouTube?
It was on YouTube.
Oh, then that's got to be fact.
It was I couldn't tell if these people are like coming from a religious standpoint or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole video starts out comparing Santa Claus to Molech,
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
the demon?
the god that you sacrifice your children to. Yeah. Yeah, and they were
interesting-
serious. They were like, don't take your kids to see Santa Claus, because they were, like Molech was they had the god figure with the fire burning inside of it. He's holding out his arms like this, and you deliver your children into they're showing pictures of kids in Santa's arms crying, and they go, see, it's just like Molech, and so like,
Where's the fire consuming the children?
I guess he's got gas.
Yes.
I don't know, but they were very, very serious about it. And then they got into this whole thing. They went through the mistletoe, they went through the tree, they went through the whole thing. And we thought we were being hard on all those Christmas symbols last week.
Oh, they were smashing them, huh?
I mean, you might as well be digging yourself a hole to hell itself if you do all these things.
It's so funny. You and I talk about this all the time. As believers, we are becoming a group of people who are known for what we are against.
I know.
Instead of what we are for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we are looking for demons under every rock, and we're finding them.
Well, and you will find it now. I really enjoy the way that our church community approaches Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, we for sure. I mean, what is Christmas to Christians? It's celebrating Jesus' birth. That's what we do, even if we're celebrating on the wrong day.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes.
because we're right in the middle of Advent. I just really dig Advent.
I love this time of year. It's a
I do too.
joyous time of year. Everyone's a little bit happier. They smile a little easier.
And and it doesn't mess things up if you focus on hope one week and peace another week, and joy another week. I mean, it can't be a bad thing. But we are also now. There's some church traditions where you would never find a Santa Claus inside a church building. Everybody
for
would be
real.
like, oh, that is for the shopping mall. That is not belonging here.
Yeah.
But we have cookies with Santa. This is not a big deal.
It is what you make it. Like we've said before.
That's right.
Yeah, what are you using it for?
Right. And I think that it only becomes a problem when we don't disciple our own children.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is I in my minimal contact with Santa as a child, it didn't confuse me in the least bit.
And that's point proven. My daughter is born, raised, believing in Santa.
Yeah.
But I tell you right now, if you ask Peyton, what is Christmas about? She will flat out tell you we're celebrating the birth of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's how I was gonna say my kids are the same way. They're be 6 in February. They 100% believe in Santa Claus, But at the end of the day, if you're like, what is Christmas about? And they're like, it's the birth of Jesus. And I'll tell you, because some people are like, if you tell your kids that Santa's real, and then when they find out he's not, they'll question everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not true, because I was raised believing in Santa Claus. And when I found out he wasn't real, I'm like, oh, well, it was just fun.
Yeah,
you know, I wasn't like, my whole life is a lie.
So maybe people don't want their kids believing in Santa Claus because they're a little nervous that they might have to do some backtracking later. But I mean, it's about how you're. Like,
what it is they never got that gift that they wanted, and they're mad
Peter
at
nailed
Santa.
it. It's about discipling your kids. Like, ultimately, you decide what your kid believes in your house.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
There's lots of myths that get busted as kids get older, like, you know, mommy and daddy never yell at each other, and you know, stuff like that. I mean, you as you grow up, you have to. I mean, you just have to deal with that stuff.
And see, I would even counter that. I think it's great for kids to have an imagination and believe in things like that, because you're teaching them from a young age that you can hope in things.
Yes. Yeah.
And it I think it's okay to, especially if you like I say, if you do it correctly, because, you know, Santa's this sort of magical character, and you know, he only is about one thing, doing nice things for you know, all, and then, you know, you can tell them about Krampus later. And you know.
Also too, when your kids get older, they learn that Santa Claus is what? Fake. And what's not fake?
The birth of Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
They learn, okay, this was the kids' table at this time of year. It's okay. It's a celebration. It's tradition. And people grow a connection to it. Like, what does the Christmas tree mean in religion? Who cares? I like the way it looks in my house in Christmas time.
And when I see the Christmas tree, I think of new life. I think about all the things that honestly I was raised to believe about the Christmas tree.
And it reminds you, it's a reminder of this season, this time of season, to, you know, turn your mind toward the birth of our Savior.
Man, I'm just going to tell you, I think people just overthink it. To be honest with you, like,
I mean, are you gonna not do the Tooth Fairy?
Tooth Fairy. I mean, and like, okay, movies are not real.
I know.
And it's like, do you let your child watch any movies? Because if they watch this and then they're like, they find out, but that's not real, that's just a movie, then are they going to question everything?
I know. And
if that's the case, do you just let your kid watch the news? Because that's horrifying in itself.
It's just as
that's
much
as
fake
fictional.
as exactly. But here's the other deal too. You know, we get a little bit freaked out about, you know, the actual day and what other pagan cultures did on that day, and then, you know, it's like, okay, so crystals are very prominent in pagan practices. So are candles. There's lots of different things. But we don't have a problem. I don't have a problem holding a crystal in my hands.
Right.
I don't have any problem lighting candles all over my house.
I tell you what, let your power go out then. I guess you're pagan real quick.
Exactly. Well, and even, you know, I remember I grew up in a pretty legalistic culture, you know, I mean, not the worst of the worst, but we had rules, and there was questions about incense. You know, it's like, you guys, you don't want to be messing around with that incense stuff. And you know, I mean, it smells good, you know. I just don't think about it that way.
I used to burn incense. Like, and then Marcy, I told her that, and she was like, you used to burn incense? And I'm like, I had a little incense holder. And
I did too.
I'd burn it. I think my mom, she was questioning. She thought I might have been dabbling with some the devil's lettuce or something. And I'm like, no, I actually just like the way it smells. And think it's kind of cool.
I'm with you on that. I always liked the way that it made like a smoke haze. You know, you're like, okay, it's kind of cool looking.
It kind of hangs there.
It
does.
It's cool looking, you know? Then you get kids and you don't want them inhaling it all, so you got to get rid of it.
I mean, you kind of grow out of it. I did. I mean, it's like
it was about a year or two I burned incense.
Exactly. You know, so I wanted to do this whole Santa Claus thing because I think it's just important that we look at the whole thing. You know, let's you know, lift the lid on it, figure out where it comes from. It actually comes from a Christian man. In fact, the historical knowledge we have about Saint Nicholas is when he had just come out of, you know, he was born right after intense Christian persecution.
Yep.
All those kinds of things. And so the pagan influences and temples and everything were still
Rampant,
there.
yeah.
And he was so violently opposed to them. He actually led the charge in his hometown to tear down a lot of these
Nice.
altars and idols and temples and things like that. He was vigilant about it. So
So the original Saint Nick was anti-pagan,
very much.
but it's a pagan holiday.
Yeah, I know. And it's a pagan symbol, Santa Claus. Yeah. And, you know, it's Santa Claus is neither for or against our faith in Jesus.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a sidebar thing that
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to sing Up on the Housetop. You know, you don't have to sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
And
Yeah.
you know, like this is probably going to get me in some hot water, but I look at Santa Claus as I do candy corn for Halloween. Some people love it. I'm not a candy corn guy. I
Yeah.
just
I'm
don't
not.
care for
I
it.
am
But
not.
I'm not going to say candy corn's the devil. Get rid of it. Blah blah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, do your thing. If your heart and mind and soul is fixated on Jesus, it doesn't matter what decorations or traditions you have in your house.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it probably, I mean, to be honest, it probably says a little more about yourself if you're questioning, like, is this pagan? Is this
Right.
the, and it's like, man, what? You're kind of looking at this the wrong way.
Yeah, like the better question is, are you pagan?
Yeah.
And if
yeah.
you're not, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, it kind of makes you think a little bit too. You know, it's like if the Apostle Paul was around, would it be okay with Santa Claus?
I bet Paul would dress up as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I don't, you know,
Yeah.
unless it was like, you know, we set up an altar to Santa Claus in our sanctuary.
Yeah,
You know, that would be bad.
Peter would chop your ear off.
Probably would.
Yeah.
He might be a little more dogmatic.
Yeah.
About it. Yeah. But honestly, I think that this time of year is here for it's a gift for us to enjoy, and we don't need to get caught. I think it's much worse to get caught up in the commercialism and the competition
Yeah.
that comes with it. And I think it's probably just good for all of us just to relax a little bit, and we can sing our Santa Claus songs, and we can sing "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree."
And you know, really, even from my childhood, going back, you was excited about the day before Christmas and all that kind of stuff. But what I remember the most is like the family coming together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like family for that I haven't seen in forever. You know, it's just people bubbling everywhere, and everybody is laughing, having a good time. It's just a joyous time.
I love the span from Thanksgiving to
I do too.
Christmas
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
Because you
I
have
agree.
the get-togethers, and I mean, look, I love to eat. I love to eat some
Yes,
food,
sir.
but
Yes, sir.
you get these family gatherings, and it's just like, man, you get to talk to people you don't see all the time.
And I'll say this too: I like Christmas food better than Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, I'm probably with you there.
I'm for sure a little
Yeah.
more variety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I agree.
And I would even say this as well, like one of the things that I really enjoy, because I mean, again, my kids know, and we had their Christmas program tonight, and we go, and they go to a private school, it's a Christian school, and they sang a couple of Christmas songs to start that were just fun Christmas songs. And then they sang like "Happy Birthday, Jesus"
Yeah.
and like all these, which I love that little
Yeah.
song.
Too.
Like,
I
and
do.
like
Yeah.
they had like the cutest little voices up there singing it. But like there was like, I found no fault, nothing bothered me about them singing purely a Christmas song and then singing like a religious song.
Yeah.
Like, and that's man. I mean, just stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
Stop looking. I feel like you're just looking for something to be bothered by.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is Christmas time is a joyous time.
Yeah.
Why do we constantly, let's see how much joy we can pull out of this?
Yeah.
I know.
Just
Or-
let people be
or,
happy.
or get worried
Yeah.
and freaked out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could probably do more damage to our kids by freaking out about it.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
to kind of roll with it a little bit and try not to let them get too caught up in the stuff.
and especially with the gifts, because 9 times out of 10, they play with the box more than they do
Gosh,
anything.
man, yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we always, and I do this with my own family. We always Christmas Eve, set aside a time, when we were little, and we would gather around the Christmas tree. And I remember when I turned 6 years old, that's when I got my first Bible with my name engraved on it. So Christmas Eve.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
My
got
brother-
fancy.
Yeah, my brother got his too, and it was set aside to push everything else aside.
Yep.
And we would read the Christmas story,
Yep.
talk about the birth of Jesus and what it meant for all
Yep.
of humanity in the world. And that was, I mean, we knew that was the core value of
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
But that didn't exclude us from, enjoying all of the
Right.
other
Yeah.
trappings.
Yep.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Guess we solved that one then.
I hope our comments blow up with more stuff.
Well, maybe you keep commenting,
Yeah, for real.
I mean,
Look, if you have an opposing view of any of us,
Sure.
all of us,
Fire
one of
into
us, shoot it at us. We are not gonna. Oh
We
God,
are-
it
Oh.
got
We're
me there.
fine with telling you you're wrong. You
That's
know,
exactly right.
yeah.
No,
It's a-
we do want your opinions,
Yes.
because we will read them, we will respect them,
Yeah.
and yeah,
and just don't be mean because Pat will cry.
Yeah.
And the P is silent. So
Yeah.
And if you're
That's
mean, then I'll just be mean right back. So
yeah.
no, we don't have mean listeners.
No.
We have passionate listeners who are also a little bit reverent and a little bit
Yeah.
rebellious.
yeah, man, that's
So,
what we like. That's what we like.
Get out there on the edge.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Please do comment below. We've asked several questions. We'd love to hear some answers in the comments. And like I said, man, we appreciate y'all. Next week, what are we diving into?
We are going to we're going to get into Bible stuff. We're going to
Oh wow, I forgot that's what we did.
yeah, I know. I know. By the way, this same guy that did the Santa versus Molech thing, he went to Revelation and said, talked about the Nicolaitans.
That was his comparison.
Saint Nicolaitan.
Oh Lord, he is reaching, man. He is really reaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got to read this stuff now. You got to send it to me.
I really do. Anyway, so that's our Bible reference for today. Revelation 2.
Nicolaitans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway, we're going to examine the Christmas narrative in Matthew and in Luke, and we're going to kind of figure out where our traditions have maybe steered us wrong.
Gotcha.
We're gonna, is the nativity scene really the way it was?
Did the wise men really have on fireman hats? Yeah.
Yeah, because they came from afar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So we're gonna just pick through a good overview of what really happened.
Yeah.
What was the whole thing about, and what was the timeline? What was the atmosphere?
It
Who were
wasn't
the
as-
shepherds?
it wasn't as clean and neat as everyone thinks it is.
It was not. And I've even discovered some new things that have even changed further. I thought I had it all figured out. And
Yeah.
apparently there's a few more details
Okay.
that I couldn't quite get. So it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
And we actually might burst a few bubbles.
Oh man. All right.
Yeah, but we'll try and be judicious and gentle about
That's right.
it.
That's right.
Because it is Christmas.
It is.
Of course.
Yeah. And then we're going to figure out that we're going to finish the series by discovering which day Jesus was born.
Yep. Sounds good.
And still celebrate it even though it's not the right day.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
That's
We
right.
love you. We love you.
Guys, we'll catch you next week.
See you.